So yeah, those are the three main ones. Uh, oh, and yeah, I must actually mention one book in specifically. It's not so much a field guide as such, but being able to identify birds is one thing, but knowing where to find them is probably just as important. And there is a book out, and it's called South African Bird Finder, if I'm correct, and it's written by Callan Cohen. He's a bird guide from the Cape Town area, but he's guided all over the place. And that actually lists a lot of bird routes that you can go, and places in South Africa that are specifically good for bird watching, which have lots of birds, and also for some of the more difficult to find. You can actually say, okay, that's a good location to go where you have the best chance. And that's actually also a very helpful book that we've used a lot. If we go to new areas, then it's always good to say, okay, we want to go there and there and there, and then we can book our accommodation and things. So that's it's a bit of a different take. It's not about identifying the birds, but it's where to find them. And I guess you need to have both to be successful. What's that? Oh, waterbuck. Very nice.
Yep, and right now we're also looking at a waterbuck that's come down to drink. And just welcome to everybody that's been popping into the chat room, and also to those that might be joining in, watching, not necessarily on the chat room, but welcome. I'm Simon, this is Pete here. And yeah, looks like I just heard a question come in from our to our final control at wildearth.tv web address, which is a way that you can always ask us questions throughout the day, especially during WeChat or during the game drives. We also like to answer questions. All right, and Annette is just wondering, do we have any porcupines in our area? Yeah, we do. A couple times on drives, there's been times that we've stopped off into some termite mounds with burrows, and there was the one drive that I know that we found a couple porcupine quills. So yeah, there is porcupines in the area. We haven't seen any yet, but hopefully we'll see some at some point. I do enjoy seeing the porcupines. I find them fascinating, and I've seen a couple before in Africa back in October and November of last year. So I guess, yeah, just about a year ago. I'm not in this area, but I was not too far from there. I'm not too sure where, but yeah. And just to show that, yeah, we got a couple of different things going on at the watering hole. There's the water bug that came down to take a drink and looks like he's going to eventually head off. And then we still have the Egyptian geese out there. And yeah, just another kind of little quiet day. Yeah. And looks like something going on.
That doesn't seem like a fair fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go pick on somebody else's house.
Yeah, so just a couple males is kind of showing off and playing a little bit. Yeah, so just a nice little group of water buck around. All right, and it's just commenting that she just found an article about the leopard orchids and no nectar, so no birds drink, but insects pollinate them.
Okay.
So that was, yeah. And now it looks like a younger male and female water buck have come down to the watering hole to take a drink, or or maybe we'll see. And yeah, it looks like we're coming down to the last few minutes of the WeChat. So if you have any last minute questions, feel free to ask them now. But once again, we do enjoy answering questions throughout the day. So you can always send them in at any point throughout the day to finalcontrol@wildearth.tv, or sometimes you can happen to catch some of us in the chat room throughout the day, as well as a lot of our viewers are pretty knowledgeable as well. And so it's one of the great things. All right. Looks like Peter Skitten asked a question. Is there any chance? Okay, I'll let you.
There's a question from Bluebird. Yeah, there's definitely a chance of that, Bluebird. She asked whether during a WeLearn where I'm discussing birds, whether I could also include any plants or flowers that they take their nectar from, or pollinate, or also from moths and butterflies. Yeah, definitely. There's basically anything that's, I would say, smaller than a steenbok is fair game as far as that's concerned, and that includes plants as well. The thing with that is I need a little bit more preparation for that because I actually don't know too much about plants. But yeah, I definitely want to do some things on that as well at some point, or maybe even just actually Peter came up with the idea and I quite liked it. Just to learn together with you, because I have a book to actually for plants and trees is quite interesting. You just break off a little branch and then you go look at that branch and see the structure of the leaves and whether they're singular or multiple or whatever that is called, and whether they have little nodules and things, and that way you can determine what species it is and learn a bit more about the tree and the plant. And actually, especially with the walk equipment that we have, we can just around the area here just basically learn together a little bit about plants and trees like that. So I definitely also sometime in the future want to do something like that, focus a little bit more on that and learn a bit more myself as well, because that's I think one area that is in what I know about nature so far has been actually sadly lagging behind. But yeah, definitely in the future, and especially then when it would relate to birds or their relationship with other animals like moths and butterflies, yeah, definitely. That will definitely be addressed in one of the future programs. Can't say when and exactly, because with all the things going on, it's difficult actually to make a plan ahead. I do want to do that, and especially for, let's say, the time when I come back after my leave, which is going to be late November. And I definitely want to actually start working ahead, so it can be a bit more structured. And then if something does pop up or go wrong on Monday morning, then I still have something, in the bag that I can just do without having too much improvisation. On the topic of WeLearn for this afternoon, it's going to be a bit of a different topic. It's still going to be related to nature and wildlife, but also given some of the things that we've been doing with GPS technology and other things, I want to go a little bit into that. Not too technical, obviously, but just a little bit about GPS and Google Earth and what you can do with it, and also how it is used, location in actually in conservation projects here in South Africa. Like I think I've mentioned before, the bird atlas and the reptile atlas, but there's also, and that's quite a nice link with maybe the Ingwe leopard project that is also coming up. Is the Cape Leopard Trust, and also researching leopards in the Cederberg in the Western Cape, and they also make use of GPS technology to actually to map territories of the leopards and things like that. And I said that links into what we want to do. We also at some point want to get an idea about where Karula's territory is, and Mafufunians and Seseka and all the other ones. So I just want to speak about that a little bit, show you some of the websites, and those websites, while they focus on Southern Africa, a lot of them also, because there's a lot of information now, have distribution lists, distribution maps of birds or reptiles and other things. And actually I think that way it might still be quite interesting also for people that are not here in Southern Africa. So that's what I want to do this afternoon. I must just make sure that I restrain myself, otherwise it's going to run way into the game drive before I finish talking about that. But yeah, if the time is up and there's still a lot of things, then we might come back on it in a future episode when we've got a couple of those things actually implemented here in Wild Earth, because that's definitely going to happen soon, I would say. I can't say how soon, but it's one of the things that we are working on.